Hello and welcome. I'm your host Rajal Jain. Today I have the pleasure to speak with Dr. Sudhir Kumar Jain. Dr. Jain has been a professor and dean at IIT Kanpur. He was the founding director of IIT Gandhinagar. He has been the vice chancellor of Banaras Hindu University. He studied at IIT Roorkee and Caltech. He has received Distinguished Alumni Award from both. He was elected as a member of US National Academy of Engineering, and he has also received Padma Shri from Indian government. Hello and welcome, Dr. Jain. We are so glad that we have the opportunity to speak with you today. I just want to understand how you perceive your success, how you perceive awards, rewards, titles versus your own happiness, which comes from pursuing excellence or pursuing your own work.
See, Rajan, the way I have always looked at is that if you are doing something that you enjoy, something that gives you pleasure, there is nothing better than that. So, all my career, I have tried to do things that I enjoy, whether it is teaching, whether it is administration, whether it is research. To me, awards are not important, recognition is not important. If you start to look at awards, if you start to look at recognition, you become subservient to other people's opinions, to other people's evaluation. But if you are enjoying your work and you are giving your best to your work, then you are more autonomous and you are able to do things that are meaningful to you, that are important to you. So, very short answer to your question would be that at least in my career, I have not chased awards and recognitions. I have received some, but really, I'm proud of work that I did, or the friendships I made, or the appreciation I received from my colleagues, from my students, from people, than from formal awards.
I'm curious to understand, as I know you, Professor at IIT Kanpur, and then you went into academic administration, leading IIT Gandhinagar and then at BHU. So, how was that pivot in your own career from being an academic to an administrator and beyond? And how can young professionals learn as they evolve in their own careers?
See, you use the word evolve, and I think I can say the same thing about myself, that I evolved. I started as a teacher, I started with a primary focus of doing teaching and research. I didn't think I was an administrator. I didn't have the skill set to mediate, to negotiate, to deal with difficult people. Uh, and therefore, I was quite happy being a teacher and doing my work at IIT Kanpur. From time to time, I was asked to take some administrative responsibilities. You can't be living in a home and say all the housekeeping work others will do and you will not contribute. Therefore, with that sense of citizenship, with that sense of responsibility, if any administrative work was given to me, I would try to do my best in it. But my heart was not to become an administrator. By doing administration, I was paying my debt to IIT Kanpur, which was providing me a phenomenal platform for professional work. It so happens that administrative work that I did was being appreciated, and a point came towards the later part of my stay at IIT Kanpur that I realized that I have good ideas about running an academic institution, and that if I were to continue my academic work, I will do X amount of work. But if I can be an academic administrator where hundreds of people can do their work better, then I'm getting 100x. And therefore, around 2008, it occurred to me for the first time that I'm willing to be head of an academic institution. Until 2008, I don't think I ever aspired or imagined that I will be heading an academic institution. Now, it so happens that when you do any service component of a teaching job, see, teaching job is basically teaching, research, and service. Service is the committee work, the administrative work, things like that. Now, it so happens that when you do the service component, there are a lot of other things you learn, people skills, financial skills, problem solving skills, and so on and so forth, which may feed into your teaching and research also. So, as you do administrative work, some of these additional skills you start to acquire. But then, when you become a head of an institution, it is altogether a different responsibility. Not only you need a lot of these skills, but you need a perception, you need a vision, and you need confidence. Because if you have confidence, then only you can inspire confidence in your colleagues. You need convictions, your beliefs should be something that you have thought through them and you are committed to achieving those objectives, and so on and so forth. So, I must say that when I became director of IIT Gandhinagar, that was in 2009, June, I had an idea of what this job is all about. But I was not entirely prepared. I needed to learn totally new skills. I needed to understand things that I had never paid attention to. And during our teaching at Kanpur, we used to say to our students that rather than learning the subject, you must learn to learn. Because all your life you will have to learn. In my classes at Kanpur IIT, I used to say that, look, when I joined engineering program in 1975, we all started with slide rules for calculations. And by the time we graduated in 79, none of us were using slide rules because calculators had arrived. Yeah. So over a period of 4 years, all of us, the entire batch, transitioned from slide rule to calculator. So the world has been changing, and we used to tell students that you have to keep learning, you have to keep relearning, and you have to therefore learn to learn. Now, when we say that to the students, it is equally applicable to us. So when we become the head of the institution, it is a totally new job description, which requires somewhat different skill sets to succeed. You did well as an academic, you did well as a committee person or as an administrative head or dean or whatever. Therefore, you are director or vice chancellor, and now therefore you will do well. I don't believe that. To my mind, if you were a good academic who did good administrative work as a teacher, and you are now asked to lead an institution, it only means that you have the potential to learn and do well. So last about 15 years that I have been heading an academic institution has been a learning opportunity for me. And I have grown in the process as a person, as an individual. And in the process, I assume many of my students, many of my colleagues have also grown, because you can't grow in isolation, you can't learn in isolation.
Right.
So when I'm learning with other people, right? As a concrete example, when I went to Gandhinagar in 2009, there is the requirement that I must sign the annual accounts of the institute, which are later audited, which are put in the parliament. I could typically take a attitude saying that the formal signatures are needed. Professionals in accounts have prepared it. Some chartered accountancy firm was involved in it, so they are professionals. They are doing it, and therefore I will sign it. But it appeared to me that if I am signing something, I must understand it. It meant that I was struggling to understand the annual accounts. I was going through line by line, and I was giving hard time to my team, including my colleagues in the institute as well as the chartered accountants, to explain to me. And then there was this Shastrat happening, this question answer happening. Sometimes we will improve our accounts. Sometimes they will say, this is a good point. Okay, we can rewrite it in this way, or we can represent it and present the accounts in a certain manner. Now that skill set of being able to look at annual accounts, the balance sheet, the income and expenditure statement, and things like that, that has been very, very important toolkit that I have leveraged over the next many years. Because as an academic administrator, you should know where the money is coming from, where the money is going, how the money is being spent, and how you can optimize the money. And in fact, the annual accounts would give you the state of health of the institution. It is like an X-ray report or a MRI report of a human body. So I can keep giving many examples of skill sets that I would need to learn only as a head of the institution, but not as a professor. And I needed to learn that, and I enjoyed learning it. And in the process, it was good for me to help myself and help the institution.
So is it fair to say that you, as opportunities arose, you try to increase your impact versus like chasing a title? Is that a fair statement?
I would say that I evolved. When I came back from United States, my education in earthquake engineering was highly theoretical. But then when there was an earthquake in 1988 in Bihar, and I went and visited the earthquake affected areas, and it impacted me enough to make me realize that I don't want to be chasing the publication of papers in international journals, but I want to improve the quality of construction in my own country. All those things are not planned. They happen naturally. In 1995, one day, I was asked to take over the responsibility of student placement office. Until that time, I had no idea what it is. But then, during the 2 years of placement office, I was very intensely involved with the students as well as with the recruiting companies. And it was a opportunity for me to learn and to grow. So, I don't think I planned or I programmed to have a larger impact. But as you grow, your thinking evolves. For example, as a young person in my 20s, earthquake engineering was the only thing that was important. You know, the 10 or 15 years, you realize that earthquake engineering cannot act in isolation. It is a part of civil engineering. Yeah. And therefore you say, no, civil engineering has to do much better. And then some years and you will say, civil engineering cannot act in isolation. Engineering is important. So you worry about all engineering. And then you say engineering is not enough, you need to worry about education. So a lot of it happens as a natural evolution process. But it is true that you get more satisfaction if your impact is larger. If I have designed a building to be earthquake resistant, it will give me satisfaction. But if I have trained 2,000 professional engineers on how to design earthquake resistant buildings. It will give me much more satisfaction that I have been useful to make earthquake resistant constructions. And same thing one could say about education. If I am teaching 50 students in the class and they do well, it is a great satisfaction. But if I am running an institution where 5,000 students are doing well, it is even more satisfaction. Yes.
One more thing you mentioned about confidence and conviction when you were taking on unknown, territories or ambiguous problems. How do you juxtapose both hard skill set versus confidence, and how important it is, having a confidence and conviction to have success or impact in life?
In my case, I have handled various situations primarily guided by some core principles. Okay. To me, some basic values or some basic beliefs have been helpful in taking decisions. For example, I would say that we need to trust young people. Okay. I believe that young people are much more capable than what we credit them with. Now, if that is a core belief, then a lot of things start happening. I have to give an administrative responsibility to two colleagues. One of them is senior but is not so competent. One of them is a junior but is much more competent. It is very easy for me to now take a decision. I am not having sleepless night. Right? Similarly, there will be a belief that as an academic administrator, I am here to be effective. I am not here to be popular. Which means that if I have to take a tough decision, which may annoy my large number of colleagues or students, but if it is good for the institution, so be it. I will take the decision. And I may not be very popular in the short run, but in the long run, everybody would appreciate what the actions were being taken. And so on and so forth. So you could really have your pole star, which will always point you to the north.
Right.
You could always say what is important. When we went to Gandhinagar, we said students first. All right. So that became a slogan. We will always look at our thinking, our decision making, keeping student at the center. Now, if that is so, then a lot of things will start to fall in place. Whether it is teachers' teaching load, whether it is budget allocation for student activities, or things like that, right? So, I think this conviction, the belief, if you are clear what those beliefs are, then the administration becomes much easier, much simpler. You have to be consistent. You can't change. You can't say, okay, I gave this responsibility to this junior person because I believed in young people, but then in this other case I did something else because of something else.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Sticking to a principle or process is important. So, so you also mentioned that you have taught students learning to learn. If a student of yours has learned earthquake engineering and now is doing or choosing a different field altogether, how do you approach this kind of a situation, or in general, what's your approach with the students?
I always believe that college education is to prepare a student for life. To me, education is not about giving exams and passing papers and getting grades and getting a degree and saying that I know history or I know civil engineering. To me, education is a much bigger enterprise where a young person develops an aspiration to do good. Good for family, good for society, good for country, good, not bad, good. Aspiration is not enough. The young person learns to, not learns, the young person is motivated to achieve that aspiration. And finally, the young person has the tools and the capabilities to achieve those aspirations. So I aspire to climb this mountain, but I'm not motivated. I aspire to climb this mountain, I'm very motivated, but my body is weak, or I don't have financial means to support my climbing the mountain. So you need education to be able to provide the aspiration, the motivation, and the capacity and capability, right?
Right.
So when I'm teaching civil engineering or teaching mathematics or teaching sociology, I'm really teaching the third part. It's very small sub part of the third part. To succeed, to achieve that aspiration, just knowledge of civil engineering is not good enough. To be a good civil engineer, you need a lot more than just knowledge of civil engineering. So I have always believed that my job as a teacher is not just to be satisfied that I taught concrete design or steel design or structural analysis or earthquake safety courses well. My job is to build in the student a aspiration, motivation to do well, and then I'm contributing to the skill set. What that means is that upon graduation, the student may do anything, may or may not remain in the field, may do something else. That is not important. What is important is that the student is becoming a good citizen who is contributing to the society, to the economy, to solving the problems of the society, and so on and so forth. It is unfair to expect that a 17-year-old, 18-year-old young person will join college for chemical engineering, and we will teach for 4 years chemical engineering, so that now he must work as a chemical engineer. To me, that's an unfair expectation that we must not impose on our young people.
Is there an example when your students are doing great in life, they've achieved certain credentials in life, and they are reaching out to you not because of your position or anything, but the kind of impact you have, the kind of influence you had? And is there anything that you want to share and how that feeling looks like?
When I was a fourth year student in Roorkee, I went to my mentor, Professor O.P. Jain, who was at the time director of IIT Delhi. He was my professor at Roorkee and then he had become director at Delhi. And I had decided when I went to study civil engineering at Roorkee that I will be a teacher of structural engineering. So in my first year, first week, if anybody asked me what you will do, I would say I want to be a teacher of structural engineering. So in my fourth year, I went to Professor O.P. Jain and I said, I want to be a teacher, and that's what I have been saying for the last 3-4 years. Am I on the wrong track? Am I making a mistake? And he gave a very interesting answer, which I've quoted in many instances to my students. He said, if you are a successful teacher, there is no profession better than that. But if you are a failed teacher, there is nothing worse than that.
Amazing.
Right? So you make up your mind, if you want to succeed as a teacher, then there is nothing like it. To me, my strength, my earnings, my savings of my life is really the goodwill, the friendship, the affection that I have received from numerous students, numerous colleagues that have come into my life, who don't care what position I was holding, who don't bother whether I'm still on that position or not. And to me, that is a very big earning for any teacher, because as a teacher, you get in every profession, in every walk of life, one gets a chance to influence people, to inspire them. I would not say that. But as a teacher, you get a lot more opportunity. You get a lot more audience of sort to influence. And I think it has been far, far, far more satisfying to me than any award, any recognition, any position that I may have had. When somebody comes to me and says, you inspired me by one meeting. Somebody comes to me and says, I met you only once in my life, and at that time I was going through this, and you said this, and that changed my thinking, and I never looked back again. And I'm here after 30 years or 25 years, and I want to express my appreciation. To me, that is much bigger medal or award than anything that one can imagine.
Amazing. Sir, last but not the least, we would like to conclude, but I want to have one final piece of advice from you to young professional students. How do they manage the expectations, the desires of the society, their families, versus pursuing their own excellence, and how do they manage that stress and continue to pursue excellence? So, any final advice that you have for young professional students, that would be great.
As a young person, you have aspirations, you have hopes, you have fears, and then you also have family and society and friends who are also imposing their own aspirations, their own expectations on you. Ultimately, what matters is how happy you are in doing what you do. That is the most important thing. Initially, it may appear that money is important, comfort is important, but after a bare minimum requirement of money and comfort, it doesn't matter. You need a bed to sleep. Now that bed can be more fancy bed, that mattress can be more fancy mattress, but after a point, you have peace of mind to sleep. Would you sleep well? That is more important. So, what I would suggest to young people is that you must enjoy your life by engaging in a profession, engaging in a work that gives you joy, that you really like. It may bring you less money, it may bring you less recognition, it doesn't matter. If you enjoy your work, every day is a celebration. On the other hand, if you are chasing money, if you are chasing recognition, if you are chasing awards and rewards, you become subservient to the other people, to their expectations, to your behavior now is not your natural behavior. Your behavior is keeping in view what the other person is expecting you to do. You're not being honest to yourself.
Right.
On the other hand, if you say, I don't worry about recognition, I don't worry about appreciation, this is the right thing to do, this is something I enjoy doing, this is what will make a difference, I will do this. It will so happen that eventually there will be enough critical mass of your good work that people will come around and appreciate what you have done. But even if they don't do it, that's okay.
Yeah.
You are not to put yourselves at the hands of somebody else for your happiness. Your happiness should come from within by doing your own work in a manner that you enjoy, that you are good at, that you feel it gives you satisfaction.
So, to all our listeners, especially young professionals, if you're seeking external validation to measure your own success, I think stories today, narration today would help you just rethink about what's truly important for you, what's truly gonna make you happy versus what external world or the family, society, etc. is imposing on you. So with that, thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Rajul. Lovely speaking to you. Thank you.